Today, 6.7 Cummins turbo diesel. This is on an 07.5 Dodge Ram. You can hear I'm draining my antifreeze, my coolant right now. I was lucky enough to have my water pump completely fail, so it was actually leaking out of the water pump. The pulley down there, it shredded the belt. Pulley down there, you can't really see it because of the brightness of the sun right now, but pulley was loose in your hand. You could wobble it all around, so it's leaking from the hub. I'm going to show you how to pull this all apart, pull that water pump out, put a new one in. Alright, start by draining the coolant. I'm draining mine into a brand new bucket. I plan on reusing my coolant, just because I don't know what else to do with it. Some of it is leaking onto my driveway. There's nothing I can do about that. I'll put some oil dry down on it. Again, that's coming from the water pump hub. I don't really have a way to collect that. Plus, it's got engine oil and stuff all in it, so I'm not going to mess with the contaminated stuff. The first thing you want to do is we're going to pull out this air box. The plan here is to remove the alternator down there, and that should give us clearance enough to get to the water pump. I'm also going to replace the idler and the tensioner, so I may end up pulling the fan shroud. I don't think I'll have to pull the radiator. I hope not. Radiator's relatively new. It's within the last 8 months. So I got 190,000 out of that water pump, so I'm not too upset about that. But again, I wish it would have lasted a little longer. All right, I'll get this pulled out and we'll move on to the next step. I've removed this 10 millimeter nut here. I'm going to loosen this hose clamp here, and then you'll see it slides back. If you want to take it off, you don't have to, but it's a little notch. You can remove the band clamp if you want, or the hose clamp. I'm not going to. I'm just going to back it off until it's loose. Remove mass air sensor and air temp. I think that's air temp anyway. This is really hard to do with one hand. Alright, this air box should come out. Might have to pull off your coolant overflow. Alright, I'm going to need two hands, so I'll turn it back on when we've got this thing out. Alright, we got the air box out. You can see the water pump pulley here. See if I can wiggle it for you. I don't know if you can see how much play that has or not. Come on, focus, camera. Anyway, you can see it is shot. It's amazing that thing lasted like that. I heard some noises, a little squealing under the hood, and I pulled a trailer with it, and then got home, and it broke the belt when I went to start it the next time. So I'm lucky I made it home. All right, now we're going to pull the alternator. I've disconnected the positive battery terminal. A lot of people just connected the negative, but I went ahead and pulled the positive, actually just to give me more room to work, because you can see I've got this. That wire goes all the way across the radiator over to the other battery. So disconnect both of them. I disconnected also the solenoid. Goes here. It goes right, basically right where we're working. So I want to get that out of the way. So that's why I disconnected the positive. It's I believe it's, what is it, 15 millimeter, I think, to get this off. Yeah, 15 on the alternator. Should just pop these loose, and then I'm going to set the alternator in this empty space right here, and we'll see what we're working with then. Okay, alternator is now loose. It's got spacers that kind of wedge it into place, so I had to mess with it to get it out. And those that aren't familiar with a Cummins, the water pump and the fan hub are totally separate on this. So hopefully we can do this without removing the fan and the clutch, but you never know. The idler is back right up here. I don't know if you can see it or not. Kind of, there it is right there. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's focused or not. And then the tensioner is right in here. It's a big arm with a spring in it. Puts tension into the belt. Alright, I'm going to mess with that and pull this thing out. I'm going to need my other hand though, so I'll check in a minute. Okay, the alternator's out. We'll be able to move it if I can unplug this. Right there, you got a little red thing you pull out. Plug lock. Man, this is hard if you're doing this one-handed. Well, looks like I just broke it, so that'll be great. Yeah, let me mess with this. Okay, I got the plug for the field off, and I'm going to go ahead and disconnect this alternator and take it out completely, because it'll end up falling on the ground and pulling all these wires out and everything if I don't. It looks like a 13 millimeter, I'm guessing, maybe a 12. We're going to pull that out real quick. Find something to set my phone on. $13. Alright, now you can get a good view. That's the water pump right there. Again, I got my money's worth out of that one. So there's two 10 millimeters, one there, one up in here. We're going to pull those off and the water pump should come out. The big question is if we're going to be able to get the tensioner and the idler out of here without pulling the fan shroud. Pretty sure this thing is sealed in with an O-ring, so there shouldn't be any kind of sealing on it, but you never know. I mean, if you read the instructions, you probably know, but I didn't do that. There it is. This one has a plastic impeller. The one I bought has a metal impeller. I don't know if that matters, but you can see it is worn out. A rubber seal right on there, and that holds this thing together. And that's all there is to that. Alright, I'm going to do some tinkering and figure out what I've got to do to get this tensioner off. Looks like I just got to pull that 13 millimeter off there, the tensioner, and I'm hoping I'll be able to reach in and get that 13 millimeter. It's not really focused well, but right where my index finger is a 13 millimeter. I'm thinking I might be able to pull those both off. Let me just try real quick. Yeah, look at that. Of course, since we can take it off, I'm sure it'll go back in just as easily. So I'm just reaching in through the side where the alternator was, between the fan and the block. Alright, look at that. One idler. Shoot, this is going too easy. Probably cut one of my fingers off here just to make things more lively. Not what I'm used to. Look at that. Can you believe it? All done without pulling the fan shroud. That is hard to believe. I don't believe that. Again, getting it back in may not prove to be so easy, but so far this has gone pretty smoothly. there it is. There's our tensioner. It's all boogered up from the belt rubbing on it. All right, I'm going to clean things up and then start gearing up for putting the pump back on. Okay, here we go. Got the new water pump. If you look, here's the old one. It has a plastic impeller. You can see there how worn out that one was. Here's the new one. This one has a cast iron impeller. It looks más macho than this one. I don't know if this is actually better, because as I'm thinking about it, you know, impingement over time may wear this impeller out, where the plastic one may be a little more resilient to the impingement corrosion. I don't know. I mean, it lasted 190,000, so plastic's probably okay. You have the choice when you buy it. I went ahead and bought the cast iron one just because it sounded more manly, I guess. So these are O-ring sealed. In the maintenance manual, the Dodge service manual, it says to coat this with RTV. I don't know that that's a great idea, but I'm going to do it anyway because the service manual says to do it. And then you torque these bolts in to 18 foot-pounds, so they're just barely in there. So let's get to it. All right, got a good coating on there. There's a groove on the water pump. So drop that down in. All right, and I'm going to guess that it's oriented like that. It's really hard to tell. Let me see. Yep, that looks right. Let's see if it'll go in the other way. That weep hole, I think, should be on the bottom. Yeah, that's not right. Okay. Yeah, so the weep hole goes near the bottom. You can see that weep hole there. That's what's supposed to start leaking as your seals go out. Mine never did on my last one. It just started squeaking and then ate the belt and then almost fell out of the truck. So, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but that's what happened. And I'm going to use some blue Loctite on these since they're only 18 foot-pounds and these engines do rattle a little bit. Little blue Loctite. Okay, and that's 18 foot-pounds. That doesn't seem like much. All right, I've already put the idler in. The idler is up here. Need to torque that. I'm going to torque it to the same that the tensioner goes in at 32 foot-pounds. I couldn't find any specs on the idler, but I assume it's probably the same as the tensioner. So if it's not, let me know. Not that I'm going to change it now, but, you know, for future reference. Okay, we're already there. And that one had some thread locker on it already. All right, on the new tensioner, it came with some instructions and an additional bolt. It says on certain 3.9, 5.9, 8.3 liter engines, a shorter bolt is used. This one has the longer bolt, so it says to use the factory bolt if it's longer than 70 millimeters, which it is. So we use this, the original factory bolt. Again, we're going to put some thread locker on it, and this is only 32 foot-pounds also. There's a pin right here that engages a hole, and this goes right, I think it's between the two. Somewhere in there, there it is. All right, this one's going up to 32 foot-pounds also. It's going to be a little tough to get the wrench in there, but we'll make it happen. All right, that's done. That's all there is to it. So that's water pump, tensioner, idler.